did its like processor fry? I was gonna say did his brain fry, but did it just? What did it say?
LeBron's team doesn't just raise expectations. Warbenigis and it warps them.
Warbenigis to What the hell, AI? Come on, man. All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. Hope you all are having a good day so far. So I had a members request to check out this video right here. And apparently this is going to be Kyrie Irving, I believe on Twitch, but it might have been a different platform. And he's kind of discussing, I think with chat, some stuff involving what happened with LeBron James and all that. And anyways, it was suggested that I give this a watch because there's some new perspective to things and things along those lines. So let's check this out together, huh? This one is titled Kyrie Irving Goes Off Live and Reveals LeBron's Darkest Secret. This is insane. Now, I don't know if he's gonna do all that, but let's see what happens here. This is a video by Hollywood Pulse. All right, so first time seeing a video from this channel. I'm gonna link it down below in the description of this video you're watching right now. You also see a list of channel members. Shout out to channel members. I appreciate you guys. Without further ado, let's get right into it. I want to see what the meat and potatoes is before daring to comment on something like this. So if you could do me a favor, hit that like button and hit that hype button. I'd appreciate it a lot. It helps out the video's performance a lot. And without further ado, guys, thank you for being here. Let's roll.
If you don't like playing with LeBron, you wouldn't like playing with Kobe. Bro, you guys got to stop these narratives, man. It's not that I didn't like playing with Bron, you guys. And, you know, I don't want to go into detail about it. Some of y'all comments just be so asinine. You know, like when I was in Cleveland.
Okay, so Kyrie must have been talking about wishing he could have played with Kobe. And then the chat was like, if you didn't like playing with LeBron, you wouldn't like playing with Kobe. So that's interesting. Okay, I didn't know that was the setup here.
Like when I was in Cleveland and I was a young player, I had no idea Bron was going to come back.
Kyrie Irving just dropped a spark that could blow up one of the biggest legacies in basketball history. And the craziest part is he did it with one sentence on a random live stream. No press tour, no exclusive sit down, nothing fancy, just straight truth sliding out while the camera was rolling. The internet went wild instantly. LeBron fans jumped into defense mode like they were guarding the rim in Game 7. Comment sections turned into digital street fights, and suddenly, people remembered Kyrie isn't just some ex-teammate. He's the dude with real receipts.
Reason why I say I would have loved to play with.
Well, and it's interesting too. I've always thought about his perspective because LeBron leaves, a young Kyrie gets drafted, you know, and it's now his team. Everyone is looking to him for the future of Cleveland. And then all of a sudden, after like ripping the hearts out of all of Ohio, LeBron comes back after a while, after Kyrie is like a star. So yeah, when he says, I didn't think LeBron was coming back to Cleveland, like that always kind of hits because that kind of derailed everything he had planned in Cleveland. Like his whole development, it went from like, you know, he's got so many years to develop and then get into the playoffs and then, you know, push for a championship and all that stuff. But instead, from year one, when LeBron gets there, it's like, oh, we're pushing for a ring now. You know, like forget about the rest of the journey.
Cool, because I would have loved this.
All right, let me back it up and let's really hear what's going on.
He's the dude with real receipts.
Reason why I say I would have loved to play with Kobe because I would have loved to have started my career with. I love Cleveland. Don't get me wrong. I'm appreciative of all the things that they've done for me, but at the same time, I would have loved to choose the franchise I wanted to go to. You know what I'm saying? I would have loved to develop next to some of my favorite players and some of my favorite people. You know, because being a young player, when you're on a team that's not winning a lot of games, there's a lot of bad habits that form. And that's what ended up happening to me when I was very young. I had a lot of bad habits. I was not a winner. I was not a loser.
He was courtside to everything that went down behind those locked doors in Cleveland. And now he's acting like he's finally ready to let the world in. And here's what makes this whole situation so dangerous.
So he's basically saying he wished he had a veteran like Kobe was at that point to kind of keep him in check.
Kyrie wasn't heated when he said it. He wasn't loud or emotional. He stared right at the camera with this cold, calm face and dropped a line that shook every basketball group chat on the planet. He told everybody watching that once his playing career is wrapped up, the real story about what happened with LeBron is coming out.
I have seen him tease this multiple times. He always says there's so much more to the story, but he's not going to say it until he's out. So I don't know what this is.
He said it with a trust me that felt heavy, like someone who's been holding secrets on his back way too long. That didn't sound like a joke. That sounded like a warning.
Plus, I think I've heard him say it multiple times now, because I've heard him mention this before too, and I never saw this live that's being referred to here.
And judging by how fast people were panicking in his comments, LeBron's fan base knows exactly how messy that could get. So let's break down what Kyrie might be sitting on, because the deeper you look into his Cleveland years, the messier this story gets. And it didn't start when LeBron returned. It started way before that.
When you guys make it about one player, it is kind of just weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just one player that you have to promote. Like, we had like solid players on our team. When you're playing with somebody like Bron or somebody that you guys like to compare him to, it's a different animal. It's a different journey. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're automatically expected to be at the top of the charts, the top of the league. You know, every time you play with Bron, it's going to be a lot of media attention. It's going to be a lot of back and forth of narratives. It's going to be about a lot of spun narratives. It's going to be a lot of politics. It's going to be a lot of shit that a lot of people don't see in front of the camera. And for me, I was just a young person trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? It's not that I dislike playing with Bron at any time. It was just literally, it was my time to move on. And that's what people got to accept. They want a deeper, detailed dive in terms of what happened. It's like, it was my time to move on.
Well, I mean, he is kind of explaining some of the stuff that's going on, though. And KD referred to this as well, as far as like not wanting to play with LeBron because what happens with the media when it comes to LeBron, it's just a circus. And he even called it toxic. It's a toxic environment. And, him and Kyrie are homies. So he's probably learning this stuff through Kyrie, what it was like to play with LeBron. So Kyrie alluded to like the politics that come into play. And also, whenever you're around him, it's just an absolute media circus. So a young player like Kyrie out there trying to prove to the world that he's one of the great basketball players out there, to be in that circus, it's the worst place you can possibly be. And he was right. It's a good thing he got out when he did, because those years he had in Cleveland, everyone basically discounts it because that was a LeBron team, even though he was the guy before LeBron came back. I get why he wanted to go. He had to separate from that.
Forget Kyrie never chose Cleveland. That's not shade. That's just reality. When he got drafted #1 in 2011, he didn't get to pick his situation. The league assigned him to a franchise still stumbling after LeBron left for Miami.
Yeah, and that's not his hometown. That's LeBron's hometown. So it's a different symbolism.
Kyrie showed up with insane talent and handles nobody ever saw before, but he had to carry a roster with no direction and no identity. Night after night, he was dragging that team just to keep them competitive, even when the wins barely meant anything. And here's the part most people never knew. Kyrie recently admitted those losing years built habits he didn't even want. He started playing in a selfish style because he had no choice. Nobody else could score.
Yeah.
He became a one-man show out of survival, not ego.
Yeah, we see that happen with all types of great players. Even Kobe Bryant, who didn't start out that way, once Shaq was gone, he developed some bad habits. Even Coach K was talking about it during the Olympics. Like, we can't have these kind of bad shots in USA ball. But he was used to that when, he didn't have a #2 option. MJ, you could probably say the same thing. Even though those bad habits, it's still pretty amazing. But, the bad habits would probably be like, MJ, you got to pass the ball once in a while.
Right when Kyrie was shaking those habits and stepping into real leadership, everything flipped. LeBron James announced he was coming back to Cleveland, and just like that, Kyrie's whole path got rerouted.
Yep.
Imagine being a 22-year-old rising star entering your 4th season. The moment when most players start becoming the face of their franchise. You fought through the ugly years, learned the hard lessons, and you're finally ready to run your squad.
Yeah, and then somebody just comes in and takes it all over.
Then the biggest name in basketball walks in and instantly takes over the whole operation. Your spotlight, gone. Your leadership role, hand it off. Your chance to grow. Put on hold, maybe forever. That's exactly how Kyrie's world changed in 2014.
Absolutely.
And if you listen to how he talks about that period, he never says it was all bad, and he never directly attacks LeBron. But he repeats one phrase that should make everybody listen closely. He says, playing with LeBron is a different animal, and not in the fun, inspiring way. In the, your whole world gets flipped and not how you expect kind of way. Because being on LeBron's team doesn't just raise expectations, and it warps them. Suddenly,
wait, what did he say?
Raise expectations, and it warps.
Did the AI just like? What? Did it just? Did its like processor fry? I was gonna say did its brain fry, but did it just? What did it say?
LeBron's team doesn't just raise expectations, and it warps them.
What the hell, AI? Come on, man. Actually, I can't even blame the AI. What did the video creator type into that prompt? Like he might have just like fell asleep on the keyboard for a second there. Holy crap. Okay, moving on.
Suddenly, you're not judged on your growth. You're judged on whether you fit in LeBron's system, whether you help him win, whether you can deal with being the second option while he controls the whole narrative. And that's where things start turning dark.
Hold on, I gotta know. Did anybody else notice that? Did y'all hear the alien language, bro? Switch temporarily? Okay, I'm not the only one. It was the first comment. All right, I swear. Let's get serious again. Let's do this.
LeBron didn't just bring talent back to Cleveland, he brought control. And to understand that, you got to talk about Pat Riley for a second, because this is the part that flips everything. Before LeBron went to Miami, he was gifted but raw. He was emotional during games, shaky under pressure, and still learning how to lead on the highest level. Miami changed him. When LeBron spent 4 years under Pat Riley's system in Miami, everything about him shifted, and not just his game. Riley drilled discipline into him, taught him structure, focus, and how to stay locked in when the pressure turned heavy. That Miami version of LeBron was the cleanest, sharpest, most calculated we had ever seen.
Yeah, that was the only version of LeBron that actually played like decent defense. But you had to when you played under a Riley system. Still to this day, you don't play defense, get the hell off the court. That includes you, LeBron. And LeBron did step up and play some decent defense. I wouldn't say that first year, but probably the second and third year he was playing some good defense. Didn't last long, but there you go. That was his window.
Here's the part Kyrie keeps hinting at. Yeah, the part most people sleep on. LeBron didn't just learn better basketball in Miami. He learned how to run the whole machine around him. The media, the public image, the storylines, the messaging, everything. Pat Riley's system wasn't only about hoops. It was about building a brand that stays protected no matter what's going on behind the scenes. So when LeBron returned to Cleveland, he didn't come back as the same player he left as. He came back with a system he knew how to control. And Kyrie had to live inside that system every single day. He's talked about how everything around LeBron is locked down, filtered, and polished before it ever reaches the public. He's mentioned how things get twisted off camera, how politics move behind closed doors, and how the narrative always circles back to protecting one person. That's heavy, because that means LeBron didn't just come back a better leader. He came back someone who knew how to shape every angle of his career, including how his teammates fit into his story. And when you're Kyrie, watching that machine operate in real time, it stops feeling like a partnership and starts feeling like something built to keep you in the background while someone else takes all the light.
Yeah, it happened to Dwayne Wade as well.
Then
Anthony Davis.
Came the moment that should have rewritten everything. Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals.
Yeah. And then LeBron has to hijack it by saying that one made me the greatest player of all time. So it's all about him. Man, he should have put some light on Kyrie with that, man. He really, he is who he is, man. I couldn't imagine being on a team that just won a championship like that. And my teammate, Kyrie Irving, just hit one of the most clutch shots ever to seal it. And I'm going to stand up and say I'm the greatest of all time because of that. I can't imagine being that type of a narcissist to pull off crap like that. Like, I would be shining the light on my teammate. And if Kyrie would decide to, like, shine some light back onto me, I'd appreciate it. But I'd be focusing on him. Look what he just did for us.
At 24 years old, steps back over Steph Curry with 53 seconds left and drops one of the coldest shots in basketball history. Bang. Cleveland finally wins their first title in more than 50 years. Yeah. The whole city goes wild because Kyrie just ended generations of heartbreak in one play. It should have been the moment that defined his career forever. The type of shot that gets replayed until the end of time as the ultimate example of icy nerves. But that's not what happened. And this is where Kyrie's frustration gets loud without him even raising his voice. He hits the championship-winning shot, and when he turns on the TV later, all he hears is, blocked by James.
Yeah.
Again and again. LeBron's block on Andre Iguodala gets looped non-stop, while Kyrie's game winner barely gets a mention. It's like his big moment got erased right in front of his eyes. And then things took a wild turn. LeBron went on TV and said that championship made him the greatest player of all time.
Yes, Oh no, don't show the ESPYs.
Not us, not we, not this team, just him. Kyrie averaged 27 a night in that series.
What is he like? What is this fashion that he was going for here, by the way? Like, I don't mean any disrespect. I'm genuinely curious. Is this a thing, or was he trying to make this into a thing?
He was the second best player in the entire matchup. He hit the shot that sealed the title. But somehow the whole story became about LeBron's redemption, LeBron's journey, LeBron's legacy.
Yeah.
Kyrie turned into a side note in his own story.
Yeah, LeBron finally delivers a championship to Cleveland as promised, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he was 50% of that. Kyrie, I mean, I wouldn't say 50%, but as far as the top two dogs, it was him and Kyrie at the top. They did it. They did it together. And that's what pisses me off. Is it should be the story of Kyrie and LeBron coming together to deliver a championship to Cleveland, finally. I'd have no problem sharing the credit there. But LeBron had to go in and take all the credit away by saying that one made me the greatest player of all time. It's disgusting. It's really disgusting. And honestly, if I was Kyrie, I'd get the hell out of there too, because you realize you just had one of the most clutch moments in NBA Finals history, and no one even cares. Everyone is talking about that other guy on your team. I'd get the hell out of there too. Screw that whole toxic situation.
That's the kind of thing that burns deep, because that's when it becomes clear the system around LeBron wasn't built to celebrate the squad. It was built to elevate one person every time, no matter what actually happened on the court. And then things went downhill fast. Move to the 2017 finals. Kyrie is out there dropping 29 a game, battling Kevin Durant possession by possession, while the Warriors dominate every angle. Durant is outplaying LeBron badly, and to TRMC, it's not even close. But when Cleveland loses, the blame gets thrown everywhere except at LeBron.
Yeah.
Kyrie catches heat, the role players catch heat, but LeBron stays protected just like always. And then, less than a month after that loss, the unthinkable hits. Trade rumors start swirling around Kyrie Irving, the same guy who brought Cleveland a championship, the guy who carried huge weight in back-to-back finals.
And what he just mentioned right there, or it just mentioned right there, is exactly what one of the two things I think that Kyrie is holding on to. I think he's going to mention the trade stuff. And I think he's going to mention that it was LeBron who was trying to trade him. I really do.
Suddenly he's being floated around like he's the issue. Think about how wild that is. LeBron's inner circle starts whispering about moving on from Kyrie as if that 2016 title never happened. Fans jump in, acting like front office experts, dreaming up fake trades and debating who Cleveland could flip him for. It was chaos.
Yeah.
And that's when Kyrie snapped.
It's downright disrespectful, man. That's all it is. Incredibly disrespectful to do something like this.
He demanded a trade because he wanted out, and that made him the first superstar in LeBron's era to actually take control of his path and leave on his own terms. Every other star who played with LeBron either chose to join him or quietly got pushed out when their roles shrank.
Yeah, and the usual method is they think they're in it for the long term with LeBron, and then LeBron just dips out, out of nowhere, like he did to D Wade and Bosh in Miami. You just never know when he's going to dip. Or what he just did to Cleveland a few years after Kyrie left. Just all of a sudden, all right, bye everybody, going to LA. So Kyrie was the only star that basically he caught wind of the game being played here. And he didn't want to get stuck in Cleveland after LeBron leaves, because the whole team was built around LeBron outside of Kyrie Irving. Like, that was the whole idea. You know, that's when GM comes in. Well, all those moves don't make sense if the guy you built a team around just all of a sudden dips to another team. Now you're stuck picking up the pieces. So Kyrie was the one who got ahead of it and said, "Screw this, I'm out of here." You know, I'm gonna pull his move on him. You know, I'm gonna leave his ass.
Dwyane Wade in his later years, Chris Bosh before his health struggles, Kevin Love when his usage dipped. None of them walked away by choice, but Kyrie did. He looked at the entire system, realized it wasn't built for him to grow, and said, "I'm done." LeBron's fan base has never forgiven Kyrie for walking away, because his exit exposed something nobody wanted to admit. The LeBron ecosystem only works when everyone else accepts being replaceable. Kyrie refused to play that part, and it shattered the whole image people were used to seeing. And that's when the character hits started coming in heavy. This wasn't the usual basketball talk. This stuff felt personal, strategic, and non-stop. People dragged everything they could find. His stretch in Boston suddenly twisted into the young players didn't like his leadership. His injuries spun like he was sitting out just to make trouble. Even his personality got turned into a weapon, calling him weird, moody, tough to hoop with. Every little struggle became proof that Kyrie couldn't shine without LeBron guiding him. It didn't matter that he was still elite. The narrative was locked in, and nothing he did on the court could flip it. Then the pandemic hit and everything exploded.
Oh boy.
Kyrie made a personal decision not to take the COVID vaccine, and the reaction went way past basketball.
Yeah, it
People
did.
weren't just disagreeing.
Yeah, let's be fair. At that point, everyone was so divided, so angry, so stir crazy. This was ridiculous how all of this went down, and I never agreed with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's get the jab, don't get the jab. That should have. I'm not even going to get into it, because this is something that should be like a science discussion. But in this current world, even though we're 5 years, separated from all this, it still becomes a political conversation. And I've never come at this from a political lens. To me, this is just science and choice, you know. And Kyrie, he didn't want to put something in his body he didn't trust it, and he got freaking dragged in the gutter for it. And I never agreed with that kind of treatment.
We're calling for him to be kicked out of the league, calling him selfish, reckless, dangerous. The outrage
I don't
stopped
get it. He was still wearing a mask and doing all that stuff he was asked to, but he didn't want to he didn't want the vaccine in his blood. You know, I believe that is an American right at that point to choose whether or not you're going to get that vaccine. Now, I understand if he was showing up to games and he was like, "I refuse to wear a mask. I refuse to follow these protocols. You know, I refuse to let you check my temperature before I walk into the arena." If he was doing all that, I'd say, yeah, that's, get him out of here until he changes up. But when you're talking about putting something into your blood, I think he should have the choice to say yes or no. And that's where I'm going to leave it. It's not a political stance. That's how I feel as a human, as an American. And that's how I feel about the science of it all.
Like it was even about health. It felt like he was getting punished for daring to speak for himself, for stepping outside the script people expected.
Yep.
And the wildest part, why Charles Broadest per Turk, it's a huge chunk of that.
He tripped out again. What happened? How does this happen? Check it out.
And the wildest part, why Charles Broadest per Turk, it's a huge chunk of that
Oh man, here we go. Oh boy.
Outrage came from LeBron fans acting like Kyrie's personal choice was somehow an attack on LeBron's legacy. That level of obsession was unreal. And through all of this chaos, where was LeBron? Silent. Completely silent.
Yeah, of course.
No words for his former teammate, no support, nothing. Just silence while his fan base went after Kyrie from every direction. That's exactly what Kyrie meant when he talked about the politics people never see.
Yeah, let's be real. LeBron was loving it. He was loving seeing all that hate on Kyrie. He really was.
LeBron doesn't need to say anything himself. The system does it for him. The fans protect the image, the narratives stay clean, and LeBron stays above the drama untouched. It's efficient, it's sharp, and honestly, it's pretty ruthless. But here's where everything flipped. Kyrie didn't collapse under the pressure. He didn't fade away or prove anybody right. He went to Dallas and became a champion again.
Yeah.
He started playing the most focused, efficient basketball of his whole career.
Yeah.
He became a respected veteran in the locker room, someone younger players actually listen to, and a guy who finally found real peace.
Yeah, and Mark Cuban spoke out many times about Kyrie. He absolutely loves Kyrie. Loves his attitude, loves his mindset, loves how much love Kyrie has for everybody. He loves humans. You know, he's hugging everybody, a lot of love going around. So yeah, Mark Cuban is one of those, like, he was basically saying, like, yeah, this guy's totally misunderstood because of all the narratives and how they tried to destroy him during COVID and all this. And he's, you know, Cubans basically like we're not here for politics, we're here for basketball, you know. And like you're freaking a legend when it comes to basketball. Like, you're fantastic out here, you have a great attitude, this is exactly what I'm looking for. I like that being the case. Not everything has to be politics. Basketball and sports should not be politics. It's an escape from politics. The day we forgot that has been a day that I've enjoyed sports a lot less, because it's an escape. We go to the movies, we go to concerts, we watch sporting events, all this kind of stuff. You know, maybe you like NASCAR, whatever it is. We do all these things to get away from the politics. So you can't taint these recreational activities that we enjoy with the politics we're trying to get away from.
Not
Stop
that media-friendly,
Get some help.
everything's fine version, but the kind where you truly know who you are and don't need approval. And the craziest proof of his growth, even when Luka Doncic got traded to the Lakers, Kyrie didn't shake. He stayed locked in, kept producing, and showed the world that the idea he was impossible to build around was never true. He turned himself into one of the most steady players on the roster. He proved the narrative was never about his talent. It was about people needing him to fail so someone else's story could stay protected.
Yeah, and in Dallas, he also showed that he's not selfish at all. Him with Luka Doncic, he had no problem being the veteran presence, you know, the more leader, the vocal leader, because Luka was not that guy. But, you know, who was producing the most? Luka. So he had no problem deferring to Luka for, you know, to basically, you're the star on the court. My job is to be your number two, and I'll be the vocal leader of the locker room. Great. You know, they're all playing into their roles, and he's not a selfish player. So he didn't need the whole system to revolve around him. He came in, saw a dynamic, and said, I can contribute here. Here's where I can fit in. LeBron doesn't do that. He goes to a place, and he completely just destroys it all and rebuilds it with him at the center.
And now we circle back to that live stream moment. Kyrie wasn't done talking after everything he lived through. After years of staying quiet, years of watching his story get twisted, years of holding back, he looked into the camera and dropped that promise. When I'm done playing, you guys will hear the real story. Trust me. And the tone he used wasn't casual. It wasn't some small comment you throw away. It was the sound of someone who's been carrying weight for years. This isn't going to be a soft interview where he dodges the real questions. This is going to be Kyrie putting everything on the table.
And I bet you guys, not like a real bet, but like I predict, because it's Kyrie, he's not looking for like the attention. I bet he does it on a Twitch live. He doesn't do it's not a paid event, it's not an actual interview. I bet he just sits down for a couple hours, goes live, and just tells his fans, you know, exactly what they've been wanting to hear all these years.
What happened behind closed doors, what the cameras never saw, what the narrative machine buried. Then he hit everyone with another line that cut even deeper. No one could ever live in the shoes. No one could ever have anything legitimate to say about what they would have done in my position. That's not frustration. That's someone who knows things the rest of the world doesn't. someone who lived through moments that would completely change how we see the entire Cleveland era if they ever came out. The way he said it, with that edge, that "I'm not scared anymore" energy, it was clear he's done protecting other people's legacies while his own truth gets buried. So now the real question isn't if Kyrie will speak. It's what happens to LeBron's legacy when he finally does. Because for years, the system around LeBron has been airtight. Every narrative gets polished. Every storyline gets reshaped. Every bit of blame gets redirected away from him and onto whoever is closest. It's been controlled, precise, and unbelievably effective. But Kyrie's promise cracks that armor.
Hold on, I just want to look at that play one more time. I've seen it 1,000 times, but I just want to do it in a different... I want to do it in Steph Curry's perspective.
Away from him and onto whoever is closest. It's been controlled,
yeah, I mean, it's all good basketball. That was the right move. There was plenty of distance between LeBron and Iggy at that point. He could very well have gone for a jumper, but you don't do that. You go for the layup. It is what it is. Yeah, it was the right play.
Precise
and a good block.
Unbelievably effective. But Kyrie's promise cracks that armor. And when he finally lays out the politics, the tension, the off-camera conversations, the real stuff that never made it to the public, LeBron's carefully built image might not survive unchanged. Kyrie didn't need a Netflix documentary or a PR rollout to shake the room. He did it with one sentence on a live stream. And the way people panicked instantly, the way defenders popped up out of nowhere, the way some fans tried to discredit him before he even said anything, it's clear everyone knows how dangerous his truth could be. The countdown has already started. Kyrie's retirement isn't far away, and when that moment comes, when he can finally talk without worrying about contracts, team politics, or league pressures, the entire basketball world is going to be locked in. Because the truth hits different when it comes from the person who actually lived it. And Kyrie Irving lived every bit of this story, every choice, every conflict, every moment that got twisted for someone else's benefit. And soon, he's going to make sure the world knows exactly what really happened. If this opened your eyes to what's been brewing between two of the biggest names in basketball, hit that subscribe button. Because when Kyrie finally speaks, you're gonna want to be ready. And trust me, it's gonna be way bigger than anybody expects.
Well, it looks like they do a lot of basketball stuff. Hollywood Pulse. Link is down below if you guys want to check out the channel. Here's the deal. I'm making fun of the glitches that they had, the audio glitches, the speech glitches, because that was hilarious. But honestly, that was a good video. There was a moment there where I was worried this is just like some AI slop, but no, it does appear this was written by a human, and this is a legit topic. It really is. It's not fabricated. Kyrie has been alluding to this for a while, and honestly, since he got into all that trouble, quote unquote trouble, when he was in Brooklyn playing for the Nets, he has been alluding to, there's a lot of stuff you guys don't know from, behind the scenes, and eventually I will tell you when I'm done playing. So he's holding on to a lot of stuff, and I got to give him credit because after, with all the hate and all the heat that has surrounded him for so many years, he's just taken it and just laughed it off, basically, and just done his thing. Basically, if somebody attacks him, he's like, yeah, well, you guys just don't understand who I am, where I'm coming from. That's why you're attacking me. And I really do appreciate that about Kyrie. At this point, you guys know me well enough. Like, one of the biggest things I value in a person is to be genuine and authentic. It doesn't mean I have to agree with everything you're going to say. We could argue about it, we could debate about something, and we can have a disagreement at the end of the day. But if you're coming at it genuinely and honestly, I really, really respect that because it's a rare thing these days. Unfortunately, everyone thinks they're a politician these days, so they're just saying BS that they would say if they were at a podium trying to get votes, And I guess nowadays that's what it is with the social media culture. Everybody wants more likes. So in order to get more likes, you need to say some bullshit that you think the majority is going to agree with. And at that point, it's so stupid to me because, like, if you live long enough, you see society shifts it shifts from this political view to that political view to this stance to that stance. You know, this is cool now. No, that's not cool anymore. Now this is cool. So eventually you end up being a complete hypocrite if you just follow the crowd. Kyrie Irving, not that kind of a guy. Charles Barkley, not that kind of a guy. You know, that's why I respect these type of people, even though I don't agree with every stance they have. How could I? Even me alone, I don't agree with every stance I had 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It's called like growing. And, you know, like it's a journey of life. We develop, we grow, we learn. You know, we learn from our mistakes. We look back at who we were 10 years ago and we go, oh man, that version of me thought he knew it all, but he didn't know crap compared to where I am now. That's part of the journey. But yeah, anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. I am looking forward to whatever Kyrie is going to say whenever he retires. I wish him more success in the NBA before that ever happens. If the vision of Dallas could actually happen, and like you get a healthy Kyrie, Cooper Flag, and AD in there, I'd like to see them do some damage in the West. We'll see what happens. I don't know. It ain't looking good right now, but you know, season's early, and you know you're missing kind of the heart, the pulse of the team right now, which is Kyrie Irving. So. Anyways, I wish him nothing but success, happiness in life. He had a bad start, you know. Kyrie was just fine until LeBron showed up in Cleveland. And then all the bad stuff started following. And yeah, I know what he did out there in Boston was a little messed up. I agree. I think he was just figuring himself out at that point, you know. But, excuse me. Anyways. Man, I made a short video into a long video, but it was really funny to hear those little whatever you want to call it moments. All right, I'm out of here, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. Hit that subscribe plus if you want to support my channel, and most importantly, is to be water, my friends.